by which we can bolster the pro-sovereignty wing within the White House. They will respond to grassroots pressure. And, you know, we lived through this during the 2007 amnesty battle, right? That wasn't a battle between left and right. That was a battle between the open borders and pro-sovereignty American first factions inside the so-called conservative movement. And somehow, you know, Center for Immigration Studies, FAIR, Numbers USA, Ordinary Americans, talk radio was very critical in that battle, and the early days of the conservative blogosphere beat back that amnesty. Yes, it was a temporary victory, but it was a victory, and it took all of those forces to overcome the entire uniparty Beltway swamp. We need to do that again. They will respond to public outrage, and they need that bolster of public support. And I think that it benefits President Trump to call out those members within his administration that are sabotaging his #1 platform that got him elected in the first place. So look, pick whatever it is that is your most important thing. If it's build the wall, build the wall. If it's defunding sanctuary cities and you know, defending your backyards from criminal aliens, do that. But on the employment part of it, there are rising numbers of these IT workers who are now much more vocal. They're organized, they have national calls. Don Collins and US Tech Workers, and you can find all of these accounts on Twitter. Follow them, retweet them. And with regard to Jared Kushner, it's not just H-1B. It's not just stapling green cards to the diplomas of F-1 visa holders. It's all those things like the EB-5 racket, which we exposed and sold out, and which Center for Immigration Studies has an entire subsection on the website devoted to. To me, it's just as crazy to handle visa issuance like the diversity visa lottery, some random lotto, as it is to put a premium on selling green cards and a path to citizenship to the highest bidder. That is a recipe for corruption and cronyism. It's something that the Republicans understood when Terry McAuliffe was doing it with Chinese investors in Virginia, or Harry Reid, who was doing this as well. But now they're all going to keep quiet about it because Jared Kushner's businesses are profiting from it as well? No. I mean, the problem with so much of the so-called mainstream media, as well as, unfortunately, a lot of the controlled opposition in the conservative media, is you don't have enough honest brokers who are willing to call out both sides when they're selling out our country.
Yes.
Okay, Brandon and then Peter.
I think that Trump is, there's about 385 federal judges, district, and up to the Supreme Court. And we had, I think, a judge in Hawaii make an order, a district-level judge that stopped the Trump administration. Can you talk about that as far as immigration is concerned, and what can we do that we have federal judges at the district level basically telling us what kind of immigration policy we're going to have?
Yeah, so you have these rogue, I call them sanctuary anarchists, right? At least with Antifa, we know what they are, right? But these are every bit as damaging anarchists in our society, the ones that issue these local injunctions in their small jurisdictions and then blow it out, you know, nationwide. And there's more that the Trump administration could be doing, I think, unilaterally to stop that. And I've said, and I don't mean this glibly, but I really think that there should be some sort of impeachment movement of these judges, right? Never mind the impeachment palooza on Capitol Hill. Pick a target, freeze it, and, you know, yeah.
Peter. And this will have to, I'm sorry, this will have to be the last question because I think we're running out of tape, right?
Yeah, we have a quick presentation.
Okay.
All this seems, I have to say, very overwhelming. You know, someone who's been in the fight for a long time and watched it, and looking at the funding and so forth makes it particularly overwhelming. It seems like every single angle on all the institutions are funded, all the bad guys, gals are funded, and so forth. And so and I look at, we're talking about what we should do, we should go on Twitter and so forth, but I certainly think that we need more organization, we need, we need a lot more, and I think it personally starts with funding. There has to be a very concerted effort to defund those organizations, those bad organizations. But overall, my question is really, you've already begun to answer it in terms of, activism going on social media and so forth. To me, that doesn't seem good enough. To me, it seems like there's really got to be some kind of imperative. There's really got to be a whole game change in maybe even the mindset of most regular Americans. A lot of people don't have the wherewithal to go on Twitter. People work and so forth. They're busy, and we're talking. We constantly talk about what people should do. Do this. A lot of people don't feel that they don't have time to do that. And so I know this is a very difficult question. It's a broad question, but that's really my question. Is how do you motivate people? How do you give people hope that we can turn the corner by taking action, and how do we go ahead and organize that action so we know we're doing the right thing, we know we're making progress?
I don't think it's a difficult question to answer because I address it directly in the last chapter of the book, which I call the Border Defenders Action Plan. And everything starts locally. And that's why we're all here. That's what you do when you network. We're in the cradle of liberty where, a ragtag bunch of American revolutionaries did an incredibly dangerous and seemingly impossible thing to surmount all of the sort of transnational, globally funded networks. It means standing up to the old guard of swamp leadership that has sold us down the river. And so, you've got so much enough to deal with here in Massachusetts. But it's not an impossible task, and it's not inevitable that our country will fall. And yes, I'm giving people sort of dire warnings demographically about what is happening, but I think we are really standing at a critical moment. And I don't agree with you that, oh, well, we're all busy, we don't have enough time, and anyway, Twitter, what's that, who cares? Well, one person does make a difference. One voice does make a difference. And I think, especially with young people, that's the future. They have to fight for themselves. They have to assert their rights to self-determination. I have a 19-year-old and I have a 16-year-old. And they have to take responsibility and accountability for their own futures. I'm doing as much as I can, but ultimately it's up to them. This is an educational mission. And in terms of activism, you have these incredible organizations. Lou pulled out all the stops to bring people here. Use that opportunity and leverage it. And pick some small, doable function, okay? Jessica's talked about these hearings that are coming up. You've got this Boston City Council. You've got these rogue district attorneys. And if it means that somebody's going to stand up and do the impossible and David Goliath with some sort of campaign, well, it didn't turn out in the end, to be, a great triumph, but there are hopes, Dave Bratt, who knew that he was going to overturn Eric Cantor and the machine. And really it's a matter of getting the right people in place and reminding them why they were sent there in the first place, at least when it comes to political office. But I'm a believer that practicing free speech is in and of itself a valuable thing. To speak truth to power. That's what I'm doing. And yes, it sounds self-serving to say, well, go out and buy my book. If it was just that, if it was just about selling a product, I couldn't sustain that for 25 plus years. I think that there's value in, one individual standing up, speaking for what they believe in, and posing as a role model for other people to do the same thing. I think that once you have that signaling and that license, that's an inflection point. And that leads to electoral change, political change, and ultimately the policy changes that we all agree should be adopted to save the country.
Well said.
Okay. One thing you can do before you leave here tonight is this book. I don't know if you heard about it. It's for sale. And it makes a beautiful Hanukkah gift, a beautiful Christmas gift, whatever. A nice housewarming for Thanksgiving.
I should sell them with brown paper wrapper, since they're banned in Boston.
You have,
No, carry it proudly.
Yes, that's right. Like a MAGA hat, like that one right there, right?
so, they're for sale, they're right here. Let's, everybody leave with two, because I don't want to have to load them back into a truck. And we have a little gift. Please hold your seats, because we got the video still going. We have a little gift from Michelle, and I want her to unwrap it. I'm not sure I got the right size. I'm not good at shopping, you know, but it's got a beautiful, beautiful little symbol of the neighborhood that we're in here in Boston.
Good luck.
It's a good crowd here, and if everyone just takes, you know, a minute, they can get their book autographed, have a little chat with Michelle, and move on, and let everyone have a chance to say hello, and thank Michelle and Jessica for being here. Also, there's a ton of food in the kitchen, and coffee, and there's some real nice ice agents in the back. Antifa, do you hear that? When you guys get a chance, go and thank them too, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Yes.